client rights and responsibilities. And the purpose of that is to ensure every client understands their rights and responsibilities, promote dignity, respect, and informed participation in services, and comply with all state and federal regulations for behavioral health. So why the client's rights matter? So I'm asking you guys, how would you want to be treated as a client? Anybody?
With respect.
Right. And when you hear client rights, what comes to mind for you guys?
Confidentiality.
Definitely. Anything else? No. All right. How about you guys think about? Go ahead. Sorry.
One of the things that comes to mind for me is I know that there is like respect and dignity and all that, but I think that it's important to look at the fact that I don't think that clients' rights are often violated intentionally.
Right.
I think that usually it's something that's an accident, because I really think that most of the people on our team, anyone that comes in every day and wants to work with clients and help clients, they come into the day with good intentions. They come into the day with this goal of helping people and, guiding people down this path, especially for us, right, on the road to recovery. And I don't think that it's always on purpose. And so when you ask, like, what do you think of when you think of clients' rights? I think for the most part, we want to show that respect, but I think it's also providing this protective factor to clients so that if they don't feel respected, they have an avenue where they can go to get support, and they have at least something safeguarding them.
Yep, absolutely. I definitely don't think it's ever something that somebody does knowingly. And I think everybody has the best of intentions to always serve clients to the best of our ability. So definitely think that if it ever happens, it's definitely not intentional for sure. So can you think of a time that you felt disrespected in a service setting? Anybody have an example? Casey, have anything to add to that one? Nobody wants, everybody's being all quiet now.
Okay, so I have an example when I was working at a MICA shelter in New York, and one of the clients just for some reason was having a bad day, and was singling me out, and there was a process where I had to remove myself and just just go along with the process. I even had to stay an hour extra for that. So I definitely went through something like that.
That's never good. Casey?
Gosh, I mean, at first I wasn't thinking, but Raphael got me thinking a little bit differently on this one. I was just going to say, like, on the phone with Comcast, I just remember feeling just so frustrated, mistreated, blown off, and I know that it's a customer service person on the other line. I think they feel like they're trying to help me, but at the same time, they're following their policies. So since you're following your policies and you're regurgitating them to me, simultaneously, I'm sitting here on the other side of the line, not really feeling helped. And so I think we kind of have that similar responsibility, right, of balancing what are the regulations and what are the laws and what are we supposed to do and how do we present those in a way that still leaves people actually feeling cared about and like their best interests are number one, instead of just this by the book,
Right.
rigid approach.
Kind of goes with the underserved thing, right? Like it kind of being underserved, that we've all been underserved, and kind of goes along with that a little bit too. So, all right. What makes a service environment feel unsafe to a client? Well, we'll get more into the slides here, but I just kind of want to have these conversations first and kind of see what you guys all thought, and like to be interactive and hear your guys' thoughts, because different perspectives, different reality. So can anybody tell me what makes a service environment feel unsafe for a client?
I believe making an unsafe environment is ultimately where he or she feels uncomfortable, where it doesn't feel like they're being served as a case manager client interactions basis. And I think that's a that's one of the main ones, I believe.
I definitely would agree with that. Anybody else? Mhm. All right. So client bill of rights, the right to be treated with dignity, respect, and without discrimination, right to privacy and confidentiality of all personal and clinical information, the right to a safe, supportive, and professional environment, and the right to participate in treatment decisions and planning. So informed consent. Clients have the right to receive clear explanations of services and risk. Consent must be voluntary, may be withdrawn at any time, and all treatment goals and methods will be explained before starting services. So we definitely owe that to all of our clients. This is pretty common there. Confidentiality. All records are protected under HIPAA and state laws. Information is shared only with the client's authorization or as required by law. Exceptions include risk of harm, abuse, or legal obligations, kind of like Casey went over earlier. I know everybody, confidentiality is obviously high priority, but in certain cases, we do have to share if it's a something that we would have to as far as like mandated reporting. Access to record. Clients may request access to the record to the treatment records treatment. Okay, whoops. Requests must be made in writing to the privacy officer. Copies provided within reasonable timeframes in accordance with the law. Grievance and complaint procedure. So clients, go ahead, Casey.
The one thing I want to mention about the prior slide is I know that it says that requests must be in writing. And I would just say, like, if someone ever came to me and they had an inability to put this in writing for whatever reason, they don't have access to email, they don't have access to a computer, they don't have access to write a letter, I would be more than happy to take their request, type up a letter, print it out for them, and then just have them sign it. Because I still want to make sure that they're taken care of, but I know that submitting a request in writing is not always going to be the easiest thing to do for people. And specifically for those of you that are on our reentry program task force right now, we've been talking about this over the last week, which is if someone's been in prison for the last 12 years and they're just getting out, is it going to be easy for them to use a computer and to hop on and to type up a letter? Or we want to make sure that they have access to resources and support through us. And flexibility here is really going to be what's going to leave someone feeling cared for.
Good call out, definitely. I think we can change that up, and we'd always be willing to, help anybody that doesn't have the ability or access to do so. Eddie?
So I was just going to suggest is like, can we as a company just produce a form and have it readily available as a records request form to give out to clients if they ever need that?
That would be a good idea. Anybody else have anything to add? Did you have another one, Eddie? Oh, there you go. Okay. Let's see. Clients have the right to file a complaint without retaliation. Grievances reviewed by management and addressed properly. Written response provided with findings and resolution steps. In Colorado and Washington, since we're in Washington too, processes follow state-specific guidelines. So participation in care. Clients collaborate in goal settings and care plans, may refuse or discontinue services within legal and ethical limits, and encouraged to provide feedback on progress and satisfaction. Okay. Culturally competent care. Services provided with respect for cultural, linguistic, and individual differences. Language interpretation available upon request. And staff trained in trauma-informed and person-centered care. Casey, do you want to add anything to that one? I think we talked a little bit about it earlier. Didn't know if you wanted to add anything to that.
Yeah, I mean, I want to hear from maybe a coach or two because I don't have the CCAR training.
Right, me either.
Now, Eddie, maybe your situation is different too. But with the training that you guys have and that you receive in order to get your certifications that are applicable to your job, in those trainings, do they specifically go over with you the fact that people might be coming to us with different worldviews, different cultural beliefs, and that, you know, we have a responsibility of trying to gain understanding there rather than, you know, just kind of placing our worldview on someone, right? How much do they go into that in your guys's like training curricula?
Well, for myself, it's pretty extensive uh, in law enforcement world, and even just in this type of environment. We have to be aware of what type of client we're dealing with, you know, and it's just kind of like for me, you know, when I was a special agent, you know, investigating, my number one priority was to know my case and know what type of people I was dealing with, and so when you first meet a client, you want to do your research on the client, gain as much as information about them as possible in the rapport building process. That way you become aware of any, let's say, cultural differences that we got to be aware. I mean, everything from the way that they speak, the way that they act, how they how they take care of themselves. Like, let's say, I don't want to throw out a stereotype, but I'm going to. There are some, you know, ethnic groups that they don't, let's say, they don't believe in deodorant, and because there's, you know, a certain diet that they take, they might smell a little different. So that would be something to be aware of. They might smell a little strong. And if we go back to some of the earlier trainings that we've had, I can't remember if it was yesterday or earlier today, about um, looking at those physical characteristics and kind of judging on like how well they taken care of as far as reporting. You know, I might not say, let's say if I'm dealing with somebody whose cultural beliefs is that, hey, we're not going to use deodorant, we might smell a little different. I'm not going to go report that based on who I'm dealing with. Does that make sense?
It does. Yep.
So yeah, it's just being very aware of who you're dealing with and what they might speak like. What, you know, just because they might be speaking loud to you, you know, I'm Hispanic. We speak with our hands and we speak loud. It doesn't mean that I'm being aggressive. That's just what I'm used to.
Okay. Yeah, nothing's always going to be the same across the board. So definitely a good call out
Ex-
there.
Exactly.
Different situations, different perspective, different, realities really with exactly that. So that's a good call out.
I hope that we feel as a group that our assessments, whether it's a BPS or just a psychosocial, depending on the person's needs, that some of these things are maybe being identified or called out in a treatment plan, you know, like as we're moving to support this person, these are some considerations that we might want to make sure that we keep in mind so that we can provide them with the best possible support.
Agreed. So the responsibilities of the clients provide accurate information about needs and circumstances. So that's important, right, guys? Because if we don't have the correct information, we're going to be unable to serve them the best that we could without having all of the information for that particular person. Follow agreed upon treatment plans, treat staff and peers with courtesy and respect, and notify the office of schedule changes or cancellations. So just that side of clients' rights is their responsibility. That one kind of changed up on top of each other there. Oh well, I'll have to fix that later. Clients have the right to full disclosure of fees and billing. Responsible for payment or coordination with insurance, and financial assistance or payment plans may be available. Those are just things that we have to throw in there for the required parts of that. So receive non-judgmental, recovery-oriented support. Right to choose or change counselors or coaches. Right, sometimes maybe certain personalities don't vibe, right, and they might have to change it up. Can't make a puzzle piece fit if it doesn't fit, so we need to be open to those kinds of changes if necessary. Services based on empowerment, collaboration, and mutual respect. Safety and conduct. So we zero tolerance for harassment, violence, or substance use on premises. Clients and staff share responsibility for maintaining a safe environment. Emergency procedures will be followed for all incidents. I know Casey covered some of that earlier. Okay, client advocacy. Clients may request advocacy or support in resolving concerns. Service available through state and community partners, and Motivational One support transparent and fair resolution processes. Again, kind of covered that a little bit on the how-tos and so forth. Any questions so far, guys? Got a quiet group today. Are they just interacted with the last one so much they're done? State-specific rights, Colorado Behavioral Health Administration standards. We do have the Washington on here since we're getting ready to open that one. Department of Health and Behavioral Health Services, and all clients receive state compliant rights documentation at intake. So the grievance process. Clients may file a grievance at any time if they have concerns about their rights or services. We do have it on here, our address, if they want to submit through mail, verbal by telling any staff member, including maybe the office manager. It has my phone number and my email. After submission, the general policy states the guidelines are confirmation within 3 business days, review and respond within 30 days, appeals allowed within 10 business days, and of course, no retaliation ever. Those timelines are what is standard, but we all know that as Motivational One, we are going to be on that a lot faster than those days that we have till to do it, but we want to obviously reconcile and resolve any kind of issue prior to that. All right, so this is just the contact information for the Colorado office. It's my phone number. The Washington office, not quite open yet, but email Motivational One, and then our website, Motivational One, is also listed. And just thank you guys for being here. I know it's going to be kind of a long training stuff. We have a couple more to go. I talk fast, so I'm done early, but Bill, go ahead.
Can you back up one slide, please? All right, it is motivational and the number 1.
Okay.
Not spelled out. It's
It must have
motivational
fixed-
and the number
Yeah, it must have fixed it.
1.com.
I can fix that. So it must have,
Yeah.
I don't know if it auto corrected me or if I just didn't notice, but I will fix that. Thank you.
That's okay. But I just want everybody to know that when you're typing that in, put in a 1.
I will fix it when I resend it out too. So